I asked this with the last one, and I think this is an interesting one.
Okay.
Do you like a man to plan a date or to ask you what you would like to do?
Ooh. Wow. That's a situational question, I feel like. First date, plan. Absolutely.
Okay.
Again, that goes back to the effort, the energy, the importance.
Right, saying, hey, you're important. I know, leaves are falling.
It's okay. That they planned, right? That's a sign of importance.
Right.
And interesting, and interested. As you develop and grow over time, I definitely think it's okay to say, like, what would you like to do? Is there something that, like, you would like to do this weekend? That becomes a thoughtful question, right? And again, it shows the same amount of energy and interested in your relationship. Now, is it okay for them to plan things?
Yes.
Absolutely. Of course. Okay. So, again, it's a situational question.
Would you, do you expect him to pay for most dates? I know I slipped that one in there.
I do. So I have a weird kind of like rule with guys that I date, and it's to kind of keep diversity of dates and a difference of time frames. I usually pay for lunches and then pay for dinners, because lunches are typically cheaper for women and then dinners, but it also changes up the time frame that you see each other, so it kind of alleviates the Netflix and chill option.
Yes.
And it allows you to kind of communicate a little bit more in open areas, try different places, having smaller windows sometimes of time frame of interacting.
Yeah.
So it
that's
just changes
actually
it up.
really good too. It's so. Do you ever make a man a meal?
Yes, I do.
When do they get the meal?
Wow. I don't know if there's a time frame with that. I wouldn't say like on the third day.
You had the so I'm just curious, like what would be criteria for saying, wow, I'm gonna cook for him?
So criteria would cook for him. Criteria would mean that I would be non-exclusive. You would be the only person, and we've alleviated that situation where that we are only going to see each other and no one else at that point.
Okay. So a meal that you've prepared, it connotates
to my energy and my effort toward the relationship, right?
Okay. And it says, hey, this is important.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, time is important.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, well, you're spending your time and your money if you're having that lunch, but you're saying there's something more intimate. At least that's what I'm gathering.
Yeah, it's typically in your home, right? There's something more intimate about being in your home space.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think you want to know someone before you bring them into your home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can have a home cooked meal and go to Piedmont Park.
You can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would you do that?
For a date?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It just depends on at what point in the relationship. If I'm going to invite someone to my home, then it has to be...
That makes sense. But what about like the more like, hey, let's meet and let's have some champagne and maybe some appetizers. Would you do that? Like,
yeah, that sounds amazing.
Okay. And you'd be comfortable with like paying for that and surprising him with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that because it speaks to the modern woman, and it also speaks to the fact that, okay, there are these things that I'm looking at from him that tell me where the relationship is going, but there are also things that I'm going to do that are going to tell you where the relationship is going. Because what I've seen is sometimes the playbook is very antiquated, I think, and this is my personal opinion. It's not fact. You guys may feel differently, but so much has changed when we know that Women are graduating college at much higher rates than males. We know that manufacturing jobs that people used to use, make a good living and use their hands, are, no longer, they're either automated or they're being shipped overseas. And because that's happening, and we know that men are not graduating college as at the rates that women are, that we are going to see that in the next 10 years that women are going to catch up to men. And we already know that 35% of women are head of household, and we're going to see a major shift. And so the playbook, like, hey, you need to pay for this, like, because you're the dude, is interesting. It's fascinating to me, because what I flippantly say all the time is, okay, you've got a penis, so therefore you need to pay. That's not my playbook. I think that even when I started dating my husband, it was like, hey, how much money do you have? I have this much. Let's put it together. Let's figure out what we're.
Yeah.
I cooked a lot for him. I didn't, but I knew him for almost a year before we started dating, and so it's interesting. I paid for plenty of dates. I realized that my mindset has always been a little bit different.
Yeah.
But most of my clients feel that the man should pay, even the men.
I think that changes over time. Like when you're married. When you're married, it's a little different, right, than when you're dating. When you're married, you're a team, right? So you do whatever makes the team work. So if that means they need to quit their career to do something else, like go back to school or do whatever that they love to do, you're part of that team, right? So then at that point, it's fine for women to be financially, you're a part of a team. I just feel like in the beginning, that's, you need to feel like there's energy and effort to even want to date someone. Why would you want to put your time into someone who you don't feel like they're doing the same?
Well, I guess maybe I didn't do a good job of explaining. There's equity in the relationship. If you've got somebody who says, oh, sometimes I'll pay, sometimes, hey, you got the last one, I'll get this one. It's just interesting, because it feels like the playbook is from the 1950s.
Yeah.
That men pay, and yet I hear women say, I want to be taken seriously in the workplace, I want equal pay, but you've got the penis, and so I want you to pay. And so that, for me, it doesn't make sense to me. So yeah. I think I'm pretty different in that way, but I've always been that way. I just, my husband could tell you that. I just never thought of things that way, but I don't think that my thinking is probably typical, because I hear it from most people that even men, they think they should pay too. And yet when we look at how many women are graduating from medical school, how many women are becoming lawyers. We went to my daughter's graduation. She just graduated from 8th grade. And it's so cute. And they had all of the scholars up there. And there were, I'm guesstimating, but about 15 of them, one was male. And so we are going to start to see a crisis a little bit, because women are outperforming men in terms of going to college. And remember that those typical male jobs are being shipped out or they're being automated. And so what happens when maybe 20, 25 years from now, the average woman is making more than the average male? Will those things still hold? What does it mean?
It's a good question. I don't know. Hopefully not.
I don't know. I don't believe men should make more just because they have a penis. I don't believe men should pay just because they have a penis. I think that, it's you figure out what works. And again, I have people who want traditional relationships, and that feels good to them, and they work. So what I'm talking about, you guys, is not, I'm talking about what works for me. It may not work for everyone. I have lots of people who enjoy a traditional marriage and they're made happy by it, or they have a traditional relationship. that's not my idea of happiness. And my sense of fairness is so strong that I it's not something that I feel comfortable with. So, but I'm telling you, the bulk of the people that I guarantee I'm going to interview more people, and everyone, I haven't had, again, a single person who doesn't agree with you. And I'm telling you, I'm going to say 90% of my clients. So again, don't send me your hate messages, because I think a little differently. It's okay for me to have my own thinking about things. And it's everybody's different, and you find the right mate for yourself and you make it work. And for some people, it really, really, and I should say for most people, that playbook feels good. I just wonder, as society changes, will it be the same playbook? And will it be fair at that point? It's just food for thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good thought.
Yeah. It's, I love all of your insight. I love all of the depth about growth and being the best you can be, and having somebody to challenge you. And, you're an engineer, you bring a lot to the plate, or the table, I should say, not to the plate, the table.